Hello, everybody. Thank you for being here at the personalization session in the travel and hospitality. I'm Massimo Morin. I'm head of AWS Travel. Travel and hospitality talk a lot about becoming retailers. And being a retailer, at the core of it, is personalization. Personalization is something that a lot of companies are striving for. But personalization is hard. It's hard because you need a lot of data. You need a lot of expertise. The core is machine learning, artificial intelligence. And what you do is you do not have to fall on the trap of a personalization being the most common or the most sold items. You have to deal with cold start when you do not have history of the product, the sales of certain product, or the customer that are coming to you. To overcome those challenges, not only you need data, you need infrastructure, you need models, you need expertise, but also you need to have a mechanism to test them out to see if they work. And if they work, deploy speedily in production. And if they don't work, to start changing them. When you deploy them, guess what? You actually need to have model that can support millions of transactions from millions of customers for millions of products. Well, this is what we are doing at Amazon every day. This is Amazon.com, my homepage, I think last March. And you see what personalization at Amazon is. It is greeting me by name. It is showing me my past purchases. It is showing the status of my orders. And it is actually making some recommendation. And by doing that, but leveraging all the data, it is actually gaining a lot of customer trust, getting a lot of intimacy with the customer, and attracting customers to come over and over to Amazon.com to do their purchases. Amazon.com is using AWS for this. Working with AWS, independently if you are a big company or a small company, we are helping them to actually drive value to their business. Machine learning and artificial intelligence is becoming table stakes in the travel and hospitality industry. AWS has the broadest and deepest set of machine learning and artificial intelligence tools that you can actually pick up with a click of a mouse, try them out, and see if they work. And if they work, scale them up. If they don't, you change them. With AWS, companies are actually creating machine learning artificial intelligence model for personalization using their own data. They actually feed the data of their business and personalize the model for personalization to provide the services specific for your own business. At AWS, security and privacy is paramount. So the data that you are going to use through these services is your data, but nobody touch it, move it, or see it. So companies can create their own personalization models. But we went a step further. So we went to Amazon, and we said, can we use the same algorithm, the same platform that you are using for doing recommendation, and offer to our AWS customer? And they said, yes, absolutely. Last year, we launched Amazon Personalize. It has been very successful. And it is the same technology that is using Amazon.com today. It's very simple to use. You input the data in the format that you want. It can be a CSV files or data in an S3 bucket about your customers, your product, the shopping behavior. You can complement the data with ancillary information like demographic. Who is your customer? What is the device that he is using? What is the area? What is the time of the day that he is purchasing your product? Or additional information like weather, events, and so forth. The system automatically train the model up, scale it up, get it ready for you to create inference. So we have customers like Domino's Pizza and Subway that are using this today and getting a lot of value out of it. So independently, if you're using off-the-shelf services like Amazon Personalize, or you're creating your own personalization model, AWS is there to help you. Today, we are going to have 3 companies here that took personalization very seriously. And they are so generous enough to share with us their experience into their journey. There are 3 completely different companies. The first is one of the largest airlines in the world, based here in the US, that is part of the largest airline alliance in the world. The second is a digitally native company that is mastering the short-term rental. And the last one is a company that has presence in more than 50 countries in the traditional hospitality space. So I'm welcoming now on stage, and let's greet them, Praveen Sharma, VP of Digital Product and Analytics at United Airlines.
Thank you, and thanks for inviting us here, and thank you all for joining this discussion. As presented, my name is Praveen Sharma. I lead the digital products, merchandising, and enterprise analytics teams at United. And I would spend next 10, 15 minutes with you to share with you personalization journey which we are taking at United. And a couple of things before my slides come up and I want to talk through is personalization, as it was pointed out, is sort of become necessity in, I would call as travel and hospitality industry, because our customers, our passengers are traveling for an experience. This is, travel for all of us is personal. It is a sort of a unique event. It has memories. It has sort of travel experiences. So that interaction, making it personal, making it relevant is not only important, it's key to the business and key to differentiate ourselves. Second point around personalization in airline industry, and particularly, specifically in airline industry, is personalization for us is a little bit more challenging than digital native company itself, because personalization, our passengers are interacting with not just with our digital product, but our most important human product, our sort of frontline employees, our flight attendants, our gate agents, and our contact center agent. How can we even personalize that interaction? That is where the fun is, and that's where the sort of the key differentiation we can have. So that's what I would share and give you certain examples of what we are doing. My talk will not be very technical, but I'll tell you what we are doing, and hopefully as a process we can talk through. So let's skip through certain slides and go look at certain numbers. So why this slide matters? So first of all, I hope, I'm expecting all of you know who United Airlines is. And more important, the objective of sharing this slide is to talk about why personalization and why partnering with partners such as AWS and a few other partners, and I'll name a few more later, is important to us. First is scale. So we have 4,900, close to 5,000 flights per day to 355 airports across 5 continents. So imagine our customers interacting with us in this diverse scale, diverse geographies and in diverse scale, so to speak. We have 1.7 million flights in a year. We carry 158 million passengers. So that's 158 million interactions, at least, that a customer is having. Other thing is we operate multiple aircraft, right? Because when I talk about it, it's how the atmosphere and how sort of hard product also impacts the personalization. So we have 1,300 both mainline aircraft, those are the aircrafts which we fly, and our express partners. And secondly, our route network is expansive, right? We fly to, we have 7 main hubs and we fly to 193 countries. So why all this slide matters? It is, if we need to do personalization, we have to do it at scale. We have to do it in what I would call as diverse manner. And more importantly, or equally importantly, is to make sure that there's a human aspect of personalization where most of that personalization will be delivered by a human, not just by a digital product. So that's the key from my viewpoint. So in that respect, our objective has been to both humanize and contextualize customer interactions across the channel, definitely through our digital channel. Digital channel is I know you all will say it's difficult, it's challenging. That's an easier part, but at least that's the part which we are taking first step as how can we humanize and contextualize customer interactions. Good thing here is we have lots of scale or interactions. Our digital channels have roughly 1 billion interactions a year. As many of you already hopefully experience, 82% of our check-ins are done through a digital means. So people generally are not going to the counter and checking in. Every minute we sell 71 tickets. Why this all matters, those are selling 71 tickets, but there's a lot of more shopping that's going on, different kinds of shopping, and how do we sort of personalize that interaction that would be useful. And what has become necessity right now is that on day of travel, your mobile devices are the tools by which you are managing your day of travel, whether it's changing flights, changing gate, knowing status. So doing quote-unquote personalization in the moment, in real time, at scale, across multiple continents, and for 158 million customers is what we want to do. And hence, the partnership which we have to bring through, whether it's AWS and our partners who help us in scaling this. Now, as Massimo talked about, if you want to personalize an interaction, and if you want to personalize an interaction at scale, you cannot do it in a traditional algorithmic way. That's where the machine learning and AI kind of tools become very important to us because this has to run on its own, this has to learn, this has to sort of scale. And for us, those tools we are deploying across the customer's journey, whether in order to inspire travel, as people are exploring where to travel, how do we personalize that exploration, so to speak? How do we personalize or help people in the booking process, at the airport, when they're on board, and post-flight? So that's the sort of a path in which we are looking at, broadly speaking, personalization and contextualization. So certain examples, and I'll start with the first one. So one aspect of personalization which we embarked on nearly 2 years back with one of our partner, Formation.ai, who was also an AWS partner, is how to drive engagement through of our customers through a game format. Somehow, how can we make sure that we can give personalized offer or interactions to our customers so that we can increase their sort of the engagement with them. So we launched this, I think November of 2017, the product which we named as MildPlay. So very simply said, MildPlay is essentially small sprints of offers which are given to, which are targeted offers which are given to an individual, which as they go through those games, so to speak, or those steps they have to take, then the next offer, next time the game comes in, it learns from what the customer had done previously, what they had, where they had challenges, where they could not, where the offer was easy, and then we sort of learn from it and represent a different offer and engage with them. That has been, and I think that's where we worked with Formation, and they brought this ML technology along with it to how do we deploy them at scale. Other thing which MildPlay has done for us is in every game format which we do, we target roughly 4 to 6 million customers. So we send out 4 to 6 million personalized offer, not only an offer, but a game which may have multiple offers. And we scale it in 4 to 6 weeks, and then learn, and within a week or so, we relaunch another game, so to speak. So doing it at scale, learning, doing in a quote-unquote automated, there's still some steps we have to do manually, and also doing it fast so that we can have this games going on a regular basis. Let me give you a few more examples of it. So again, as I said, we need to have these offers or game formats in a very personalized and very sort of relevant way. So every individual gets very different offers, and I hope as many of you, if you travel and if you're a United traveler, you may be given many of these offers. The offers are based on who you are, what your previous experiences had been, and what right incentives or right actions we may want you to take. So if you are a frequent traveler or sort of infrequent traveler, just taking an economy flight and giving you an incentive for that will be good. If you are a more frequent traveler, buying up to economy plus could be another offer, and upgrading to a premium cabin could be another offer. The examples here are sort of like a purchase options, but we have also tested certain actions which helps our operations too. So for example, there could be incentives or actions which we may ask you to do which helps operations, such as checking in your bag online. So you can do so that you don't have to interact and engage with the frontline agent. So this is what MildPlay has done for us. So in last year or so, we have engaged with roughly 50 million customers, and we're passing out roughly 150 odd million offers to those 50 million customers. And certain good examples, good outcomes which we have seen is, A, the engagement of these customers have been higher than any other sort of format of offer management which we had before. Second, we have seen engagement from a different audience group. So the millennials and sort of our younger generation is interacting with it with a little bit more of these gamified offers. And finally, this offer format which we launched was mobile first. So we have seen more engagement with our mobile app and downloads. So that's generally how it has happened. We have a few more things to do here. We're going to scale both using the AWS and the formation technology here to have different learnings, have different forms of games going on in the marketplace. So those were the 4 sort of examples I had. Second thing, as we talked about personalization, another concept is travel inspiration. United's network, as I mentioned, 193 different countries, is very vast. And if you're not a frequent customer, it happens to me many times, like, okay, hey, over the spring break, I want to go to a beach. First thing, okay, which beach location does United fly? Wouldn't it be cool if I can search my flights based on the activities I want to do? So that's where we launched this concept called travel inspiration, which both gives you recommendations of where we think what are the destinations which can be interesting to you based on your travel pattern before or transactions you have done before or cohorts of your type, or also provides you opportunity to search our network based on various activities which you like, whether it's food, whether it's music or things like that. Where machine learning and personalization is coming here, as you traverse through travel inspiration and like certain cities, like I go there and say, hey, I want to go to Denver one day. That information is what we learn from, and then we make sure that we give you recommendations of cities or places like Denver. And that's where we are sort of using machine learning around that. Another aspect of personalization, which we are putting in through machine learning and AI, is flight recommendation. And it is, as a customer, it is sometimes challenging to search for flights because you get multiple options and various forms of products which we have. So what we have been working on, and it is in market, that based on travel patterns of customers, kind of trips they are taking, number of passengers in the PNR, we are presenting them a recommendation of flights among all the flights which are there between 2 destinations, and presenting them as a recommended flight. Here, the most important thing for us from a personalization and recommendation perspective is to give people reason why we recommended that. So as you would note here, there's a small information sign here. So if you click on that, that will tell you why we recommended that, so that we can earn your trust. We can make sure that this is not just a flight we want to sell you, but this is the flight that makes sense. Building on that, we have also sort of personalized your seat selection process, where once you come to a shopping path and look at the seat map, we may recommend you the seats which may work well for you. And this may be purely extra legroom, which is one thing. But if I find that, hey, there are 3 people in your itinerary and hopefully you want to sit together, unlike my daughter who doesn't want to sit with me. But anyway, if other families who want to sit together, we can recommend you, say, economy plus a row, which has 3 seats together. So I think that's where we are using those concepts. And more importantly, as we learn through this, if I can find that, hey, when a seat map is made available to you and only aisle seats are open, between aisle and window seat, you mostly pick aisle, I can have your inferred preferences, so next time I can start offering you those seats or recommending you those seats. We can take one more step further where, and we will attempt to do that next year, is where I can search flights based on flights which have aisle seats open. Because that would be pretty cool to do, right? Because otherwise you go through, look at different seat maps. And we will have that. So I think those are the kinds of sort of tools and personalization we can provide. And then obviously the personalization, the most often used implementation of personalization is offer optimization and making sure we give right offers to right people in the right sort of channel, so to speak. Where we are taking this further and working with our various partners on it is to make sure that there is a learning across various channels. So if you saw an offer on United.com and we did not see you sort of interacting with that offer, I would not again show you the same offer on the mobile app. Unlike many times which has, without that tie-in, we may keep showing you same offer in different channels where you may say, I already said no to you, why you're showing this back to me? So that's the cross-channel offer optimization which we will be using to make customers' interaction with us more relevant and contextual than seems like a forced one. But as I mentioned, personalization for us is not just digital and customer-facing. It is also from an employee-facing. So here is a little bit of a different viewpoint, if I can share with you. It's how we are using machine learning, AI, and AWS platform, for that matter, to respond to customers' issues faster, to improve customer satisfaction. So there's a tool called what we call as CoPilot. We are an airline, so it has to be airline's name. So it's CoPilot. The basic premise of this tool is, so today our call center agents or our agent who do problem resolution, they get so many emails, letters around issues they may have had with the flight, and they generally manually process them, read them, figure out what happened, connect which flight the person was, do all the research, and then recommend a resolution or a compensation. All that can be done in a very simple, tools, particularly the NLP tools and AI tools which come out of the box of AWS. So what we are doing is reading through the emails or the letters, processing through NLP, figuring out the keywords, the issue that customer might have had, looking at the flight numbers, pull out all the data and find out what happened to that flight, and recommend to our frontline agent, or in this case, contact center agent, as to what's the right resolution to do, what's the right compensation to give, and also recommend even a snippet of email or a message they can send back. So that's what we are trying to do here. So as you can see, where we can, the screens which are different screens which our agents are seeing. And what it has resulted with us is that the speed at which they are able to resolve the customer issue has increased almost double. So the customer satisfaction does better. It is true that we do not want to have customers any issues, but if they have an issue and if it takes long to resolve, it's much worse. So they're able to process these issues in a much faster way. There's consistency because since it is a recommended solution, there is a consistency between various agents, and we get a better customer satisfaction around it. Lastly, I would quickly walk through this another example of how we are using various AWS and ML tools for personalization based on location. Pretty easy concept. I know there was an IoT session earlier yesterday and all, but here's the basic concept which we're trying to do. If we know where you are at the airport, we can help you by personalizing, giving you a specific offer, or we can help you in serving in whether there's an irregular ops, if your gates are changed, if your flight is canceled, there could be better interaction. So imagine where a customer service agent wants to make sure that, hey, I know Mr. Sharma is checking in, but he's so many minutes or so many steps away from the gate. How can I help him or her? So if we can connect that location-based information to our frontline agent, we can have better interactions with them. I'll give you two examples of which. This is this is live at Chicago. We are testing this at our Chicago location, airport. What we are testing there is, if we know that you're at the airport and flight is canceled or delayed, we can give you an offer, either a discounted one or a free one, to go into our lounge and make yourself comfortable. So that's one. Second, many of you may have heard, but United this year launched a pretty exciting tool in my viewpoint called Connection Saver, where if we know that if you're connecting flight, you might miss your connecting flight, but your connecting flight may have some slack in the time that even if we depart 5 minutes late, we will arrive on time. We might hold the plane to make sure you connect to that flight. And so far, we have saved roughly 50,000 connections that way. Imagine we take that tool, link it with a location-based personalization. If I know this person's who's connecting to this flight, where he or she is, we can message them on their mobile app and can tell them that we're holding the flight for you. We know it will take them 5 minutes or so to walk and help them in that process. So this sort of, there are opportunities for us to make this even better. So those were a few examples of things which we are sort of mostly doing right now and also sort of thinking about. In order to close this out, the basic premise here is ability to do interaction, personalization, or recommendation at scale. That's one. Ability to do this in real time, because I want to save your connection while I can save it, not tomorrow. So doing it in real time. Ability to include all the data which I might have, not only about the customer, but the flight and the location, and compute that and give certain recommendation based on that. And more importantly, or equally important, is learn from all that interaction so the next very interaction can also be better. In order to do that, that's where the tools, whether it's AWS or partnership like we have with Formation and Palantir, that helps. But in the end, if we do it right, we do it at scale, and we do it and we earn the trust of our customers, this will not only improve their customer experience, it will improve our employee experience, and in the end, that is the value which creates for all of us. So I hope that was useful. Now I'm going to invite my friend from South Korea, his company, Yonolja? That was my come on over.
Okay.
Yongyun, sorry.
Thanks for the introduction. I'm Jong-Yoon Kim from Anuja, and it's a pleasure to present Anuja's real cases about the personalization in the cloud. So I'd like to briefly explain Anuja business first for your understanding. So Ya means hey, Nurja means let's play. So Anuja means hey, let's play in English. So Anuja is the biggest and the fastest growing booking platform for leisure and travel. So it took only 3 years to exceed 1 billion transaction volume. And also, as of now, we are making around $2 billion the transaction volume from our application. And Anuja is the only super app, including all kinds of the categories about leisure and travel. So we are covered from the accommodation, leisure ticket, and restaurant booking, tour and activities, and transportation, not only domestic in Korea, but also the global. Also, Anuja is the biggest, the global #1 cloud-based PMS. PMS means the hotel system provider in the world. And also, we are the one of the largest franchise hotel in Korea and in Southeast Asia. So as a franchise hotel, we have around 1,200 properties under our brands. And as a hotel system provider, we have around 26,000 hotels as our clients for the PMS in the cloud. So as I told you, Anuja is doing 3 kinds of the businesses. First, the booking platform for leisure and travel. Second, the hotel system provider globally in 160 countries. Third, hotel franchise. So combining the 3 business lineups, we try to make the better personalization and full integrated automated solution. That's what we are doing. So to realize the fully integrated solution to provide better personalization, actually we need to interact the data from the guest to hotel. But in the reality, this value chain is totally segmented. That's the reason why it's impossible to make a data flow in a frictionless way. So first, we try to understand how to integrate these processes across value chain. Also, all the touch points for the guest or hotel are disconnected. So as you may understand, if you are making the reservation with your room and restaurant, as always in the morning, you should check your room number on the printed Excel sheet in front of the restaurant every time. Because any data for the restaurant is not connected with the hotel system, that's the reason why you should experience those kind of uncomfortable experience. So ideally, if we can connect all the processes across the value chain and all the touch points for the guest and the hotel like this, it's possible to make a data flow in frictionless way. But the problem is that it costs a lot, incredibly. That's the reason nobody tries this kind of the integration up to now. But as of now, it's possible, thanks to the AWS cloud. So on AWS, we try to upload all the data in real time to integrate all the processes and touch points in the cloud. That's what we are doing the integration. And I think integration is kind of the fundamental to realize the real personalization. So personalization usually provided with the pre-purchase online data from the specific application or services, which means that partial data for the personalization. So if you can provide the full-scale personalization, definitely we need to combining the online pre-purchase and offline post-purchase. If we can combine those two kinds of the information and data, definitely we can provide better personalization features. That's what we are doing. Third, so I'd like to introduce the real cases, what we are doing, and probably you can understand how we are building up the personalization, the full-scale personalization from the integration of the system and lobby automation and in-room service automation and full-scale personalization through the automated solution.
Introducing Anuja Y Flux. Are you fed up with the time waiting after you arrived at the destination early? With Y-Flux, you can expect sooner check-ins. If the room is prepared in advance, you can make an early check-in, regardless of the time scheduled for check-in. Complete the check-in process, quick and easy. Y-Flux does not need a card key. Upon completion of a check-in, a smart key is issued via message. There's no worries in losing a physical key card or any errors. Room equipment and services you need can be selected during reservation. Additional items needed during your stay can be easily purchased from the Y-Flux vending machine. Set the floor you wish to go to with the elevator on your smartphone, and the elevator will be waiting for you with its doors open. Once you're in your room, even if you don't place the key card, and even if you fail to find the light switch, the room will automatically begin to control the room according to your presence with a welcoming sound. If you feel too lazy to go out, you can order breakfast through room service in your bed. Aren't you curious about the taste of food delivered by a robot? Enjoy the checkout made with a single click without visiting the front at the time you want. Y-Flux.
So as I told you, if we are just making the automated solution, I think it's just automation. But if we can integrate the process across value chain and we can add the automated solution, which is the best way to provide the better personalization. So in terms of our solution, we let the customer to make a reservation through any the OTAs. They can use our solution in a frictionless way. So they can have the link for the solution after making the reservation. So it's easy to use through any kinds of the sales channel. That's the point, I think. So I'd like to explain one by one. So as I told you, the fundamental of this solution and personalization should be based on the integration across the value chain. So to integrate the value chain, as I told you, we try to integrate itself, data itself. At the same time, we are using the blockchain for the unified pass and reservation. So as I told you, Anuja tried to be a super app for every categories for the leisure or travel. So if you cannot provide unified the pass or reservation, then it's very comfortable for the user to use our solution easily. So we are providing blockchain-based unified the pass for the customer to use any kinds of the categories or features easily.
The smartest way to meet a personalized hotel, which allow the selecting of services you want, and the power to control the room conditions as you please, without the hassle of interacting with a staff face-to-face. Introducing 야놀자 Y Flux. Lodging separate, leisure separate, flight and car rental separate. How many reservations are you making for a single trip? ID check is one of the hassles you go through at Checkin. YFlux offers safe check-in without security concerns with blockchain verification during reservation.
So we did develop the blockchain-based unified pass and travel coin for many kinds of the travel or leisure-related services, which is very helpful for customer use the reward points or the pass, not only for the 야놀자, but also the other services, which is one of the ways to unify the pass for the customer's better experience, and which is very helpful to enhance the customer satisfaction. And the other one is about the lobby automation. So probably you may experience very bad, uncomfortable the experience in the lobby when you are check-in, because you should wait, or usually you should write down the personal information in the written form, or you should hand over your passport to the hotel, and the hotel copied the passport for the internal use. So many the personal data leaks, and also you should wait for in front of lobby, even though you pay a lot of the room rates for the hotel. So we try to provide the user identification feature through the blockchain. Also, we can provide many options for the hotel can choose for their purpose, which is another way to make a lobby automation. Also, we try to synchronize with many hardwares, so kiosk or some of the robots, and the other features based on the hardware should be synchronized with our solution easily. That's one of the features we'd like to handle.
Camera scans the information and problem detection feature filters individuals who require age verification. With blockchain identity verification, which the guest confirms one's identity in advance, guest management without the need for unnecessary passport and ID checks, as well as concerns of personal information leakages. Long check-in lines, frustrated complaints from guests. The front desk, busy with various processes, is now gone. Guests can check in quick and easily with the self-check-in system. And the staff can monitor the process from the central control front in an office rather than at the lobby front.
So this identification can be provided with many options. So facial recognition is quite popular in the Asian countries, but the other Western countries, we can provide the ID-based or the fingerprint or many other kinds of the options the hotel can choose or the government can choose as a regulation. So anyway, we need the blockchain to minimize the data leakage issue. At the same time, we can provide this kind of identification in the real time. And this is very helpful to enhance the revenue and number of the reservations. Because think about this. Even though you are paying like $500 for one day, one night, you should wait for the lobby. Because as always, customer comes from some specific time. So that's the reason why you should wait for. But it takes only 5 seconds to do the check-in, then definitely customer should be happy. Also, if the staff can be managed more efficiently to handle more customers, that's the reason why through this identification, the hotel can increase the number of the reservation or the customer satisfaction. And the other one is about the in-room service. Definitely, in-room service is very important because you need a car key to enter into, or you need a car key for the elevator. So in-room service is quite important to provide the better the personalization offer. So we are using the AWS IoT and the SageMaker to provide the better personalization offer using the offline data from the in-room service.
Customer requests made at all times. Hotel concierge service is one of the biggest reasons of 24-hour work schedules. Phone calls demanding various amenities and goods, you can now be free of fixed spending generated by providing various items. It is because of the YFlux vending machine, which undertakes the concierge service in place of a staff. Guests can select services they want at a reserved time, and additional items needed during the stay can be purchased at any time without the need for help from a staff. Amenities required in each room and the need for inventory management are gone. Real-time automatic inventory management allows vending machine item management with required quantity and necessary cost only. The system will reduce equipment and amenity costs up to 88%. Will return sales opportunities that were taken outside of the hotel, and will bring additional sales to the hotel.
It's about the sustainability as well. So think about this. Probably you may not use your amenity at all sometimes. Also, some guys do not use the Russian or some of the amenities provided by the hotel. But as always, hotel provide to you, and sometimes it's just a waste. So we let the customer choose in advance for their amenity, and through the data, we can understand what kind of the amenity they prefer. Also, if we can add some data from the offline, then we can understand better about the customer's preference about the amenity. And also, vending machine and robot can make up some the additional requests. So if we are providing the optimal number of the quantity and the composition of the amenity, probably sometimes more manual process is required. But if we can cover the manual process as a robot or vending machine, then we can save the cost for the operation as well. So through this, the process, we can save the inventory management cost as well as the operation cost. The last one is about the in-room service for the controlling the consumer electronics or the furnitures. So we are using the AWS IoT to have the data on AWS for the controlling the any consumer electronics and furnitures. Also, we are using the AWS Glue and Antenna and the EMR. We can understand the customer's the optimal condition for the room. So sometimes you prefer some the high temperature, or sometimes you may prefer the high humidity. So we can understand customer preference through this data as well.
Temperature control, lighting management, various equipment and devices. Room control related services were also a reason for a staff to be on standby. The room control system of YFlux detects issues that can occur in rooms in real time to minimize customer complaints. By supporting the perfect room condition check before a guest checks in, and by allowing the guest to control the room condition after check-in, minimizes the need for unnecessary face-to-face service support by a staff and can minimize customer complaint.
So as I told you, to realize the full-scale personalization, we need 4 levels. First, integration. Second, blockchain-based the lobby automation. third, IoT-based the in-room service automation. And then with all the data from each level, we can realize the full-scale personalization for the customers. Thank you. And I'd like to introduce the Shiri Holly from the Hyatt Hotel.
Thanks, Kim. Good afternoon, everyone. How are you doing? All right, this is a session right after lunch, so hopefully we'll make it interesting. And before we start our presentation, I just want to start with a couple of thoughts. We talked about personalization through our friends here from airlines and company and taking a technology approach and solving different problems. But as a hospitality company, we like to look at personalization from a different angle. So first, I want you guys to think about how personalization can be thought through more through a human lens, human interaction lens, rather than just revenue and numbers. And second, how that can differentiate the company or a product in a marketplace. And I guess the third is like we are in a technology conference, so how technology would help achieve that. Right? Hopefully my presentation or with the conversation that we're going to have for the next 10 minutes helps us kind of understand how we are trying to do that differently. Again, I'm Srihari Thorapalli. I'm the Global Head of Analytics at Hyatt. I've been with Hyatt for about 7 years, and we are in our second year of our journey with AWS. And within Hyatt, we like to consider ourselves as a pioneer in AWS. So our data and analytics team are the ones that have fully adopted AWS as their main technology platform. So started with the theme of differentiation, right? So that's where I want to start with our company's purpose. We don't talk about revenue or anything in our mission statement. What we say is we would want to do everything through a lens of our purpose, which is we care for people so they can be their best. So any investment that we do in technology or otherwise, how can we advance this mission, right? Advancing care, because everyone has room. I mean, there are a lot of companies that hotel companies or other shared accommodations that provide a room with a bed, and how do we differentiate ourselves? We hope to say that and have our guests recognize that through our care, we are looked as somebody different and we are set apart from the rest of the competition. So with that, a little bit about Hyatt, where we are in the marketplace. So we are about 900 hotels across 20 brands, 60 countries, and 6 continents. Some of the newest brands that we launched recently are Alila, Thompson, and JDV. The way that we look at growth is we like to be where the customers want us to be, and not everywhere, but where our most important or the loyal customers want us to be. And for example, in China, we're going to double our hotels by 2022. So in the next couple of years, we'll be twice our size in China. So that's where our customers want us to be. So with that, I want to spend a little bit of quick few minutes introducing my team and our customers, because given where we started our data journey with Hyatt, the way that we operate may be a little bit different than other companies in the sense that ours is a global function, and we have 3 teams that work together closely within the global analytics function, data engineering to BI to the data science. And we like to think of us as providing an end-to-end service to all of Hyatt. And I just listed a few key customers here. Hotel operations, that's where all the magic happens, right? That's where most of our guests interact with us or technology or data. So that's a key customer. And then sales and revenue management, that's where we make money, right? And then marketing and finance and real estate. So with that, we talked about our personalization, our purpose and personalization, right? So how do we enhance or do this personalization and build personal connections with our guests at scale, right? So that's our main challenge. So we can do personalization different ways, learning our preferences and trying to put the pillow or the pillow or give you a room away from the elevator, or learn about where you are in your life and have the crib ready in your room, or like normal stuff that we expect from a hotel. But how can we leverage personalization as a strategy and build this personal connection with our guests? That's our big challenge. And then differentiating from competition. So we have savvy customers, right, and who, based on the purpose of visit or where they are in their life, they may be staying in a hotel or using a shared accommodation, and they may be using different products and services to actually choose which hospitality provider they're going to choose for their occasion. And from a business environment, I mean, we have hotels and brands launching all the time, right? So how do we overcome that? And the long sales cycles, especially with the meetings and events business, which is key to us. For example, I believe this conference was planned at least a year in advance with all the logistics and all that. So getting ahead of all that is a challenge, is a business challenge. And obviously, the complex customer journey. So we talked about different products, different platforms, and devices people use before they actually make a decision on a hotel booking. So how do we account for that? How do we build? Enable our technology and our mobile app and our website and learn from all the data and analytics and build analytics solutions to help with that. So with that, I want to hone in on the key challenge that we're going to talk about. How do we advance care and create personal connections with our guests at scale, right? So that is where, I guess, the data and analytics and AWS comes together, right? And the technology comes together where, so the solutions, we're going to talk about 3 examples of this through the solutions. So how data and analytics combined with AWS can bring scale, help us scale, and build these personal connections with guests. So, and then what are the benefits that we realize in doing that? Right, so understanding the customer lifetime value of our most loyal guests to provide differentiated service, and from the revenue perspective, how can we upsell just not the rooms, but also additional amenities like food and beverage and spa and other offerings applicable to a given location and market, and also. How can we personalize our digital properties, right? Brand.com and mobile app, and some of the work that we have done. We'll look through an example what we recommend properties based on your interests and what we learn from your past history. So with that, just one slide about why AWS, right? So I mean, nothing should be surprising here, but it's just to reiterate why we are here with AWS, right? So again, with an on-premise technology infrastructure, we're always slow to the market because we always have to prove the business value or ROI, build a business case before you can procure resources to actually do anything. So that creates this loop of losing opportunities because of lost time, business opportunity because of lost time. Lack of advanced data science tools. I mean, we can do a lot of stuff on your laptop, but I mean, how do you scale that, right? So we have a team, and how do you operationalize that? And as advances, as the technologies, data science technologies advance, how do you keep them fresh? And doing it in on-prem environment with the traditional approach was not working for us. And scalability, right? So in the traditional way, the scalability you have to plan for scalability. You have to procure resources in advance and pay for them to say based on what your anticipated user load. So you are forced to make those decisions up front and those investments up front, right? So that builds in the scalability constraints. I mean, the speed at which you can introduce innovation and new technologies and services that are all the innovation that's happening in the marketplace, how we can bring that, internalize that, and leverage that. I mean, that's it's very difficult to do in a traditional on-prem infrastructure. So what have we done? What have we achieved from a technology capability by moving to AWS? So we deployed through our BI product line and our team, we have deployed self-service analytics through Tableau on AWS globally in a very short order to all our hotels and the colleagues at our hotels, so they can do things by themselves without depending on a canned report or something that they were waiting for in a traditional setting. And doing it scale in a short order was only possible for us by being on AWS. And coming to machine learning, some of the models we'll talk about. So those, I mean, building the model and proving the value is like half the battle. Then how do you operationalize it? How do you deploy it so that your frontline it integrates with your frontline systems, operational systems, where you're going to unlock the most value? So we're able to deploy and run our models at scale. Much better tools, right? So we are able to take advantage of all the innovation that's happening in AWS and its ecosystem. And just from yesterday, we're really excited about SageMaker Studio, which we hope to unlock a lot more productivity and iteration within our small data science team, and probably extend to others. With the AWS infrastructure, you have a lot of redundancies, so we minimize our downtime to I mean, we have to say zero, but I mean, we minimize the downtime close to zero. So that's another improvement by being on AWS. We talked so we'll spend a few minutes on the solutions. We talked about the challenge, right? So 3 examples of the solutions. The first one is a pipeline to generate lifetime value and room upsell and add-ons. So one of the things that we would like to say here is, I mean, with the right tools, anything is possible, right? So with AWS, we have the right tools, and if this is all made possible. So our personalization journey, this is the first thing that we have done, is started with knowing our guests to offer services. And our data scientists started by building their models, Jupyter notebooks on their laptops using data from Redshift. And slowly, we hit a resource limit. Immediately, we hit a resource limit. So we made a seamless migration to SageMaker environment, and they were able to use much more powerful instances to drastically scale and deploy, iterate and deploy the more best-fitting models for room upsell and add-ons. And that we believe was a big win. And the second is we leverage Lambda a lot in our environment, and we're really, really excited. I mean, the 2 technologies that I think we are really excited, besides all the new cool stuff, are Lambda and S3, so the basic stuff. So with Lambda, we are able to generate the model outputs at scale and send it to our hotels in real time worldwide. So that is something that we are able to do using Lambda. And we had a lot of experience using Lambda for data ingestion and other use cases for a while, but with the integration and the building these models in a serverless way, I think this Lambda has become a core component to deliver our model outputs to our hotels, and it's a big win for us. And another part of personalization effort is a property recommendation model. We'll see in the benefit slide how it looks up on how it shows on our website, but this is the technology piece of that. We want to recommend hotels to our guests that they are likely to book, because instead of showing the generic cities or generic brands when they log in, we want to recommend hotels that make sense to them. And that requires a lot of data. So you got to comb through the web logs, you got to look at other data sets around the guests from the past transactions, or just do some lookalike modeling. So luckily, we were able to take advantage of elastic MapReduce from on the EMR from AWS. Not only does it scale with a few clicks of a button, but it also provides it also helps us leverage machine learning libraries from Apache Spark that provides some of the best collaborative filtering to generate recommendations. So if you look at the diagram on the left, it looks very simple, right? So it's a simple ETL pipeline, but there is a lot of in and outs out of that EMR that's made possible through that data pipeline. That's which is on the right. And with data pipeline, we don't have to provision any servers or schedule anything, and standing up the cluster and bringing down the cluster and execution all happens without writing a single line of code, which is a big win for us. And lastly, we want to talk about now moving from a lot of machine learning into how things come together for us at the hotel level, right? So even beyond the best recommendation and room data add-on options, we really have to rely on our hotel colleagues, to provide the best guest experience. So how do we identify areas of improvement, right? So we built something called a informative 3D heat map that's all made possible using leveraging Lambda to read data ingest data from third-party solutions, and then use Kinesis, pipe the data through Kinesis in the Firehouse, and also land it in S3, and also use Lambda again to transform the data into structured output and store it in Redshift for leveraging through our Tableau environment to display to our hotel guests. And so just want to talk about one business results that we have through our upsell model. We can say that we have achieved almost up to $40 million in incremental revenue for the first 6 months. And so this is how our property recommendation looks on our website. When you log in, you will see personalized hotels. And this is what we talked about, the 3D heat map. So this is a tool where our hotels can actually deliver on our guest experience. So like housekeeping can actually use this data to proactively address room level issues before the guest actually notices them. So it makes it all simple for them in the way that they can understand their hotel layout. So with that, I would say thank you all for patiently listening. Hopefully, it was helpful and bring it all together with our personalization and care and technology, all three of those together. Thank you.
Thank you. Everybody, personalization. Personalization is key in travel and hospitality. We have seen it in variety of shape and forms with our past guests. I'm glad to see that we are not talking anymore about selling more products, but actually engaging in a more meaningful way with our customers and become really true retailers, as Amazon is. Some logistics. First of all, well, let me thank you, the speakers. Again, a round of applause for them sharing all these insights. Also, thank to you, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us and listening to what we are doing in travel and hospitality. You can find all this information in our portal, aws.com/travel. There is a blog session. There is a personalization session. We have reference architecture and resources that you can use and contribute to. And finally, there is another session today, later on, about call centers that you can participate, and you can actually see how to transform your call center into a profit center. Finally, and finally for sure, thank you very much for being here. Don't forget, it's hospitality. We like 5 stars, so please don't forget to rate this session. Thank you again.